Well, hello there. Probably the last one from me for today. Just a couple of quick thoughts because I've never done anything like this one yet. Tenerife. Put something up early on in this channel, probably its first week, probably 3 weeks ago now, about an act in Tenerife, who I'll mention again in a moment. But I thought I'd just do a quick sort of 5 or 6 minutes on a couple of things that I do when I go to Tenerife. I go to Tenerife most years, stay in the same kind of area most years, and it's one of them places in Europe that I like, I particularly like. It's got sort of everything I want there. And I thought I'd give you 2 or 3 places that I look to eat at, and 2 or 3 acts that I like to see when I'm there. Many of you that go to Tenerife may eat at these places or see these acts anyway. Maybe many of you won't. I know with Tenerife, it's a place for some reason that on YouTube seems to get a hell of a lot of traction, hell of a lot of views. And I think that's because there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Do they call them vloggers? I don't know what they call them. People doing what I do, as in talking to yourself. The only difference being they do a lot of stuff where they walk you around restaurants and what have you. They show you the meeting meals and so on and so forth. Many of them do what they call lives, where they talk to you as, you know, I'm talking to you now, but they're getting comments coming through and they're answering comments, and it's a lot more personal. I'm never going to do that, as I say, I'm not clever enough. You'll never get me eating meals and showing people my food needs, and I'm not into that. I know a lot of people with this Facebook palaver go out for a meal, and if they like the look of it, they take a photograph and put it on there for everyone to see. I don't get that. I'd get nothing out of seeing what somebody's going to eat, you know, on a photograph. It just doesn't do anything for me at all. But this is the new social media phenomenon. Well, I say new, it's probably 10 or 15 years old now, and I've never ever understood it, but they all do it. But no, I thought I'd tell you a couple of places that I go and people that I see that I can highly recommend, and I mean highly recommend. Obviously, I'm not going to get the views that those people get because I do it in a different way. And as I say, it's saturated with them. But I'll give you a couple of different things that they haven't given you yet or that I've not seen. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking these people that do the stuff in Tenerife. Is it Kevin, I think he's called, Scotsman in Tenerife? I watch him, I like him. I don't watch everything he does because there's just too much content for me and I couldn't keep up. And he goes here, there and everywhere. And one of the main things that he tends to do is looking for a £1 pint and all that palaver. Well, that doesn't really interest me. He doesn't do sort of food blogs, but he takes you through different places, and you see some nice places with him. I like him a lot. He's just a run-of-the-mill guy. I like him a lot. I've said before I watched that Just Rick fella. I like him. And his wife. I watch them together, but I watch his channel on its own, and I like it. I've watched the McMaster. He's probably the most polished of them all, and I think he started the whole thing. I actually seen something of his last night. Some thing he posted, and I think he's saying he's going back there now. But I think he mentions he's had a sabbatical for a good few months from there because it sprouted up loads and loads of different competitors, and he thought people were fed up of Tenerife. One of his competitors will be the guy, is it the Night Strider? I must admit, and I must confess, I watched him more than most initially. Because he was putting out content 2 or 3 times a week, and I've seen him there and I've seen him in America, but I've given up on him. He's probably good at what he does, he's very polished and he's got a big following, but as a person I don't think he's for me. I think he's a child in something of a man's body, and his ways don't sort of suit me. I mean, any bloke in his late 20s that admits to go watching Kylie Minogue concerts is a bit strange. Admitting that his dad set him up with his now girlfriend is a bit strange. I seen him pulling his face on St Paddy's Day when he had half a pint of Guinness. Ken Barlow would have loved him for that. Not believing people could drink it. I thought that was an insult on the Irish. I just wouldn't have put that in there if I was him. And then he spends all his days in America in Walmart looking at the cakes and the sweets and talking about them. I don't know what viewers get out of that. Why do they want to go down cake and sweet aisles with a bloke? What bloke would take people down the sweet aisles? He spends all his time in Costa Coffee, and he shows us the little cakes he gets with it. And I don't know what I'm calling him. He's done me no harm, but I am calling him then. I don't mean to. So I'm sorry for calling you. I don't mean to, but I'm just saying what I look for on YouTube, and they're all different. Anyway, it's inundated with people doing stuff on Tenerife, so this one will be totally different, and it'll be short. From now, it was only a couple of minutes ago. I'll give you 3 places that I eat when I go, and I'll give you 3 acts that I would go to see if I was going to Tenerife. If you look out for these 3 acts, I can assure you you'll have a good night watching any of the 3, all of the 3. I promise you 100%. And I promise you, if you go to any of these 3 restaurants, you'll enjoy what I'm going to tell you 100%. If you don't, give me a call, just ring me up, I'll reimburse your money. Seriously, I'll reimburse your money. Right, restaurant-wise, where would I look at? Well, I stay in Adeke, Costa Adeke. That's where I always stay. And there's probably loads of great restaurants in the rest of Adeke. I've been to some of them. There's probably loads of great restaurants in Cristianos, and I'm sure there's loads of great restaurants in Las Americas. I'm just going to tell you the area where I stay, and I'll give you 3 there. And the reason I'll give you 3 is probably one of them you've been in on a regular basis if you've been in Adeke yourself, but 2 of them you've probably hardly ever, if ever, visited. And one of them I would suggest is a hidden gem, because probably not many people know about it. Restaurant-wise, one that we always go and always love, and I absolutely love the Scottish guy on the door that welcomes you in, is Embassy. It's a few doors up from Grand Maison. We used to go to them both. Over the last couple of visits, we've dropped Grand Maison, I think it's called Grand Maison, and just gone to the Embassy double the time, because it's better. The Embassy is absolutely fantastic. You will not go wrong there for food. It's a high-end restaurant, but without the high-end prices. It's a lovely setting, lovely ambience, and they don't stick the boot in price-wise, I promise you. A couple of things, a couple of recommendations from me. They do a pizza. I think it's beef strips in it, pork, I think it's beef. It's like a Mexican one, as in it's got some peppers and a little kick, but not too much kick. It's beautiful, and at last count it was about €12, so it's about 11 quid. For 11 quid, it's a steal. The fajitas that they do are lovely. Unless you've got an appetite like me, you probably won't get through them all. They're lovely. The wife, every time we go, she mixes dishes, but she tends to go for at least twice on every visit. The steak in Jack Daniel's sauce, and she says it's absolutely to die for, as I think they said in the film with the lions. I can't think what it's called, The Lion King, the film with the lions. So there's a couple of recommendations for that restaurant. A restaurant that probably not many of you have been to, and there's 2 of them in Costa Rica. It's called Mario's. There's 2 of them. I don't know if they're owned by the same person. I've got a feeling they may not be. There's a Mario's next to the Pheasant Plucker. It's a smaller Mario's, and that's the one that I would recommend. It is absolutely fantastic. Fantastic. It's probably my favourite restaurant in the whole of the area. The reason being is the selection, the diversity of the dishes is massive. It's mainly English, but it's massive. But the prices of it are really, really, really fair, as in cheap. And I mean cheap. Everybody raves about the T-bone steak there because it's massive and it's really competitively priced. I'll be honest with you, I've had 2 over the last 5 or 6 years and one was poor. It's the only poor meal I've ever had there, but it didn't stop me going back there because it's a great restaurant. The service is brilliant. The owners and staff are absolutely first rate. The food quality is sensational. For a restaurant that's as cheap as it is, it's sensational. It really is. They do another special, I think it's a special. It's a sirloin steak one or something, and it's got chips with it and this, that, and the other. But they do extras that I want on there because I don't like a lot of veg because I'm fussy. And that's about 12 or 30 euros, so it's dirt cheap, but it's brilliant. Please try it out. And the hidden gem, and it is a gem, I've seen on these vlogs or videos or whatever the hell they're called by people like the Night Strider, the Master, and others on there. I've seen many of them going for Sunday dinner in various establishments. I've seen Rick and Shelley go for one as well. I'll give you one that I would recommend that's absolutely sensational, and it is. It really is. You wouldn't find it unless you knew where it was because it's out of the way. If you came to book, you'd look at the place and think, I don't know if this is for me. You know, it's not an all singing, all dancing place. It's not the biggest place in the world. It doesn't look brilliant from outside. It doesn't look brilliant from inside. And I don't mean that in a nasty way at all, but it's not as modern as some places. But I'll tell you now, if there's a better Sunday dinner on the whole of the island, please, comments below. Let me know where it is and I'll go and try it out. But it's called the Winning Post, this place. It's called the Winning Post, and it's sort of behind the Pheasant Plucker. So it's in the same area as Mario's. You'd walk past the Pheasant Plucker and it's behind, might be behind the Star Bar. If you know where the Star Bar is, it's probably behind the Star Bar. It's absolutely brilliant, and I mean brilliant. I've been to another restaurant there that comes highly recommended by others, And again, I've seen the Night Strider on it. He's been there twice that I've seen with his mum and his dad, called Hemingway's. That's over the bridge. It's probably about 1,000 metres away from the Winning Post. And it's a better looking establishment. It's on a main road and it's nice from the outside. It looks nice on the inside. And it's nice food. It's a nice Sunday dinner. But what I will say about Hemingway's compared to the Winning Post is, number one, it takes longer to get your food. The service is reasonably slow, or was the day that we went. Number two, it's a reasonable amount pricier. Number three, you don't get as much food on your plate, although the portion is more than adequate, but you'll get more on your plate at the Winning Post, and that for a greedy person like me is important. But number four, and this is the big point, is I would suggest that the Yorkshire pudding was better at Hemingway's than at the Winning Post, but everything else at the Winning Post, everything else about the meal is better at the Winning Post than Hemingway's. And Hemingway's, I know it's well liked, because when we was in there, I think we were sat near, is it I don't know him well, I'm not a celebrity, is it Wayne Lineker, the brother of Gary's? He was in there, and Billy Porter, the comedian off the island, was in there, who we're going to mention in a minute, to be honest with you. So the Faces go in there, obviously, but I would tell yourselves and the Faces to try the Winning Post. You will not be disappointed. So that's it. There's 3 different restaurants to try, and I'll give you 3 acts to look at. One of them will be, because we just mentioned Billy Porter, really, really, really funny comedian. Definitely not PC. The gentleman is, if you've not seen him, I won't say. He's definitely not PC. He has a running joke throughout his act. I've seen him probably 8 to 10 times in the last 5 years, and he has the same joke running through his act, but it's funny. It's really brilliant. It's really funny. It's really great. I think he's a really nice guy behind it all, and I like nice people. Billy Porter, if you don't have a laugh watching Billy Porter, then there's something wrong with you. The next one will be, because I've mentioned it before in the earlier video from my first week, a lady called Shelley. As I say, she has a channel with her husband Rick and Shelley. She's a singer on the island. I said in a past video, and I believe this, I believe it wholeheartedly, she's the best amateur singer I've ever seen. I think my comment was, the best singer I've ever seen, male or female, that you don't have to pay money to watch. I think she's that good. Her repertoire is fantastic, the amount of songs that she covers. Her range, vocal range, is really good. But what I love about the girl is, and I absolutely love it, is she takes requests some nights, not all nights, but many nights. But if she gets, say, 12 requests one night thrown at her, she'll be able to do 8 or 10 of them. She knows so many songs, it's unbelievable. She's a brilliant, brilliant performer. If you get a chance to see her, go and watch her. But try to watch her in one of the places where she's got a good audience. We seen her one of the times last year at a place, I think it was called Wigan Pier. I believe she doesn't do that anymore. It was awful. There was about 5 people in there watching her, me and the wife being 2 of them, maybe 6 people, and then there was 4 people playing pool, and the pool table was probably 10 foot away from where she was singing. And I think they were Spanish people, and they were loud, they were banging the balls about, they were laughing and joking, and I thought, if I'm an owner of this place and I've got a singer singing for me and I'm paying her to sing, I'm going to take them people off that pool table. They're not playing there tonight. I just couldn't understand why they let them play, because I thought it was really disrespectful and it wasn't conducive to a good night. But also there wasn't many people in there anyway, and it's in an awful place, and it was outside and it was cold, the wind was blowing, it wasn't great. But getting her in a good place, she's sensational. And the last one would be, and I'm sure everybody that goes to Tenerife has seen this guy, but if they haven't, you need to see this guy. You really, really do. If you've not been to Tenerife before you go this year, you need to see this guy. He's called Comedy Elvis. Sensational. Absolutely sensational. You just must watch him. There's so many Elvis impersonators. There's 2 or 3 in that area, on that island. I've seen 1 or 2 in Benidorm. I've seen 1 or 2, where did we go? Fuerteventura, 1 I think I've seen. I've seen a couple in Lanzarote. They're everywhere. You know, I mean, he's probably got more impersonators than anybody else that's ever lived. But this guy is a comedy Elvis. Bear in mind, comedy, that's the point that you need to hang on to. Can't say he looks like him. Sounds like him a little bit. Does sing some songs as well, and he's got a good voice, nothing wrong with his voice. But the guy is fun. I'm going to tell you nothing about his act in case you haven't seen him. He's brilliant. And he doesn't only have the one act. I've seen him do about 3 different acts where he mixes things up. The guy is close to genius. He's brilliant. So there are 3 acts to see. Billy Porter, Shelley and Comedy Elvis. And your 3 restaurants, from me anyway, Embassy, Mario's, make sure you pick the right Mario's, and the Winning Post. And that's all from me.